What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Clemente Collector. And today I have a special auction episode for you guys. REA Auctions has a Clemente 3D card, and it's extra special. I will explain why later on in the episode, but I reached out to REA and said, hey, could you guys get me somebody on with to talk about this card and to talk about some other cards? And it's going to be a real treat today. We have Brian Dwyer, the president of REA, joining me to talk about this Clemente card, his feeling of what's going on in the card space right now, what's going on in the auction space right now, and just we'll talk about various topics. I'll see you after the intro.
Batting third, playing right field, number 21, Roberto Clemente.
All right, Brian, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Theo.
Yeah, so Brian, before we get into some of the listings for the January auction, how long have you been the president of REA?
I've been the president of REA now for 9 years, and I've worked
Wow.
with the company for going on 13 years.
That's really cool. So how's the sports card auction space changed most since you first started, would you say?
Well, when I first started here, we only had one auction a year, and that was perfectly
Whoa.
fine. There was not the prevalence of auctions that there is now. We're doing 11 auctions a year currently. So the volume of material, the number of collectors in the hobby, I think that's probably the biggest change that I've seen in the time that I've been at the company. But like anything, there's been ups, there's been downs, but it's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up. I feel like you guys almost do one a month now, which is really really cool. But does the volume of material flowing through your house, does it make it hard to really be focused on your consigners and the customer service?
Not for us. I mean, customer service has always been one of our hallmarks. I think that we pride ourselves on the level of service that we deliver. And each month we have hundreds of sellers, thousands of buyers, and every decision that we make, everything that we do is geared towards giving them the best experience possible. We understand that when you're selling your collection, you're only doing it once. You only have one crack at it, and you want it to be the best, most positive experience possible. And when you're buying from us, you might be buying something that you've been looking for a long time that's really important to you, and you want to get that safely and securely and honestly, and that's always been what we strive for. So no, we process a lot of material, but never at the compromise or sacrifice of service.
So I guess outside of customer service, is there any other secret sauce that makes you guys maybe stand out compared to some other auction houses out there right now?
I think what's unique about us, and it's not that no other auction houses have collectors that work for them, but virtually everybody that works for us collects something in some way. And they understand our clients. They understand what's important to them. They understand when they're looking for something for a very long time, or when they're selling. Our employees and our staff put themselves in the seller's position. What would they like to see done? How would they like to see something put up for sale? Myself, I've been collecting for over 30 years. I started when I was a little kid, and I've been through selling. I've been through buying myself. When I came to REA, I was able to really think about what I would want to see as a seller or a buyer and implement a lot of that. So, our secret sauce is service. Our secret sauce is understanding. We understand where people are coming from as collectors, and we just try and deliver that great experience.
Yeah, I saw you have a 52 mantle behind you, and I believe I read somewhere that you have maybe you have one or you have a couple of them. You want to talk about any of your couple 52 mantles? Like what grade are they in?
Well, I've been fortunate to own several 52 mantles during my time in the hobby. I put together a 52 top set that had a mantle and a 4 in it. At one point in time, I owned a mantle and a 6. But the first 52 mantle that I ever bought was a PSA 1. And I bought it going on 10 years ago now. And it's the only one that I've kept to this day. So it was a card that I always loved. I remember going to my first national as a 17-year-old and seeing a 52 mantle in person for the first time. And I always wanted to get one. So I bought one, a PSA 1. I spent $4,000 on it, saved up for it. and it's the only one to this day that I've kept.
That's cool. I like that. So, is there anything new REA recently rolled out or plans on rolling out in the future here?
Yeah, we have had a busy first week and a half, 2 weeks of the new year already. So we just rolled out a brand new website, totally brand new state of the art front end and a new bidding platform. So that's really exciting for us. We've got some great technology, modern technology that we're looking forward to sharing with people. As far as things that we're rolling out, we're going to be doing some more shows this year. We're going to be launching a fixed price marketplace later this year. So always trying to evolve and again deliver that great experience for customers.
Nice. Um, I'm rather new to the auction space. I came back in the hobby about 4 years ago, and I was kind of, you know, I started with eBay, and now I'm gradually, getting into auctions and stuff like that. So this is a learning experience for me as well. And I guess, my other question is, as far as REA goes, do you guys ever have auctions that are specific sports or specific genres, or is there a specific auction that's your biggest auction of the year, or anything like that for somebody new to know about?
Yeah, so we run those 11 auctions a year. 3 of them are what we would call a premier catalog auction. So we've got
Okay.
spring, summer, and fall. And those auctions are going to do sometime tens of millions of dollars in sales. That's where you might expect to find the biggest, most valuable items that we're handling in a year. Now, that's not to say that our monthly auctions can't have significant items. This January auction that we're going to talk about has 6-figure item in it. But so those seasonal auctions are generally our biggest. As far as genres or sports, if an opportunity presents itself, we might run a specialty auction. We've done T206 set break auctions in the past. We've done a Gaudi set break. We've done pre-war set break collections. But if somebody came to us with a world-class Clemente collection, for example, and said, "Hey, this is really valuable, really significant," we have the capability to make it its own auction. So I think that makes us nimble compared to some other people.
Brian, I'm not selling my Clemente collection. You can't. You're not going to work me over here on my own show.
I guess this interview's over then.
Oh man, no, I'm just messing. So, I always ask this. It might be the most important question on here, at least to some people. What's your opinion personally, coming from where you come from in the auction world? What's your opinion on the state of the card hobby right now?
I think it's in a really good spot. I mean, I alluded to it earlier that things have gone up and gone down. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there's not elements of the market that are softer than they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But as far as what we're seeing, vintage has been very stable. Vintage has even appreciated in certain areas. And the number of people coming into the auctions each month continues to amaze me. Obviously, we saw a huge boom during COVID. We saw that sustain even 2022, early 2023. But for us, every auction, we're signing up new people that are coming back to the hobby, finding the hobby for the first time. And so that's really exciting. So I think overall it's in a good spot. You've got a lot of people that are interested. You go to the national, you get 100,000 plus people walking around there in the course of a week. There's a lot of bright spots, but it's going through changes at times. Like I said, there's certain things that are up, certain things that are down, but overall I continue to remain very positive about the hobby.
Awesome. So here's a pretty cool question. I always like to hear this one from different people in the hobby. If someone new was coming back into cards and wanted to know what player or set has the best long-term outlook, what would you say?
It's hard to argue with somebody like Babe Ruth. I mean,
Mhm.
if you look at what Babe Ruth's pricing has done over the years, it just continues to climb. And I think really the same could be said about almost any top tier Hall of Famer. I mean, you look at Clemente, his prices have continued to escalate. Mantle, Aaron, Mays, their prices have continued to climb. So I think that if you're coming back into the hobby and you're looking for something that's going to be a long-term, store of value and a long-term hold, those top tier Hall of Famers in pretty much any sport have never disappointed.
Okay, fair. So Every auction site I'm learning does extended bidding a little bit differently. Could you just quickly tell us how REA does extended bidding?
Yeah, so we have an initial bidding period in which I like to say the whole world is invited to bid, and we take bids on items. You have to kind of mark your interest. So any item that you're interested in, you have to place that qualifying bid on. At 9 p.m. Eastern time, because we're based in New Jersey, on the final day of the auction, our website, which is collectrea.com, switches into extended bidding. At 9 p.m. onward, you can only continue to bid on the items that you've already qualified on. That period goes on for 3 hours until midnight Eastern, when people have sorted out what they're interested in. A lot of the prices have gotten too close to where they might end up. And then we switch to what we call a lot by lot closing. So if you're bidding on an item at midnight, you have 15 minutes to stake your final interest in the lot. If nobody bids, you win it. If somebody bids against you, then the clock resets for another 15 minutes. So it allows people to move money around during the open period. It allows people to get serious during extended. It allows people to really buckle down during the lot by lot.
Yeah, 15 minutes is nice. I've done an auction where it would extend an hour, and that hour felt like 5 hours. So it's kind of nice to have the 15 minutes. I like that.
Yeah, it's we've tinkered with some different amounts of time. I think an hour is way too long, but 15 minutes works well for us right now.
That's good. The other thing is, and I might be wrong on this, I think sometimes a qualified offer for some auction sites is you have to be the highest bidder. Is it any bid, or do you have to be the highest bidder to qualify for extended?
For us, it's any bid. So you could come in and bid on a card and be out. You could bid $10 on a card and be outbid, and that would still qualify you to bid and win in the extended period.
Nice. Okay. Sounds good. Let's get to some of the cards. Obviously, first and foremost, the card I brought you in here for. Let's do that one first. So if you don't mind, I want to clear the deck a little bit on this card and explain why I think it's important, and I wanted to have you on for this card. So obviously the Clemente 3D card I've talked about on my channel. It's a grail card for me as a Clemente collector, but it's also a grail card for a lot of Clemente collectors out there. And I think a lot of people would overlook this card being a lower grade 3D card, but I actually put a note there on the screen. Only 24 graded 4 and under. So essentially, the lower grade Clemente 3Ds don't come up very often. So that brings a lot of interest for guys like me and other Clemente collectors out there, because we can't afford the PSA 8s and the PSA 9s of this card. Now, somebody who maybe isn't as researched on this card will say, well, why is there so many high grades of this card as far as percentage goes? Well, it's just because of how the card was made. It's got rounded corners. That helps a lot. It's a lot more durable, it feels. So they do grade well typically. So that's why there's a lot of higher grade 3Ds out there. And then the other thing I want to talk about in this card is the back. So most of these cards have a blank back. It's believed that the blank back were given out to the public as far as a test goes. This one here has a black stamp back. This was an internal one where it's believed that the employees there got a few of these and they could, take them home and whatnot, but they were supposed to return them. And that's what the stamp basically says. The only thing rarer than the black stamp is there's a red stamp back. Those are very, very scarce. There might be maybe 4 or 5, just a handful of them. It makes it really hard because the companies like PSA and SGC, they unfortunately don't denote on there the stamp backs. So it makes it really hard for me to say there's this many red stamp backs, there's this many black. The population I have on the screen right now is total graded of blank back, stamp back, red stamp back. So that gives you guys an idea, though. There's just over 100 total Clemente 3Ds out there graded by SGC and PSA. So I know that was a lot of information there, Brian, but what's your thoughts?
No, you nailed it. I mean, this is a great card. I have always thought personally that the 3D set is one of the coolest sets of that era as far as test sets go. And Clemente is obviously the main attraction in that set. You're right; they do come up in high grade more frequently, but the higher the grade, the higher the price, obviously. The thing that's really cool about this card is it looks like an 8 or a 9, but
Yes.
it's downgraded because of the back. And so you have a lot going on with this particular example. You have a really good looking front. You have the rare black stamp on the back. You have condition issues that are relegated to the back. I mean, as far as 1.5s go, this is a poster child for not all low grade cards are created equally. Love the card. Have it here with me.
Oh,
And you know, it's
let me.
every bit as special in person as it is on the screen.
Wow. Yeah, you bring up a great point, which I was going to bring up is the front. The front to me looks like a high grade. It's probably does it have any type of issues on the front at all that you can
No,
tell?
you know, there's a tiny little edge imperfection, but
Wow.
that's really drawing at straws. I mean, there's glue on the back, which is what causes it to grade fair.
Yeah.
If there was no glue on the back, I think that this card's a 7.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, I'll be honest with you guys. If they had a PSA 8 or PSA 9 at auction, I wouldn't even reach out to Brian. I only reached out to him because of the grade and the quality of this card. Because I feel like people that watch my channel actually this could be a card in their collection. You know what I mean? So that's why I wanted to have Brian on today. But I'm not going to have Brian on and only talk about one card. So I also wanted to talk through some of the other big cards that are coming up in his auction in January. So let's look at those. So this is I'm gonna have to argue, Brian. The Clemente should have been lot 1. This should have been lot 2, but it's perfectly fine. We got the Rickey Henderson rookie card in a PSA 10. Obviously, unfortunately, Rickey passed away recently, and I guess the reason why this card really stands out is how few PSA have graded a 10, only 25. Brian, you want to talk a little bit about this card? Do you have a prediction as what range this card could sell for?
I think that this card should push about $150,000 by the time all is said and done. I mean, obviously, you mentioned Rickey's untimely passing in December, widely considered to be one of the best players of his era. And I think a lot of people would agree that his rookie card is one of the toughest, if not the toughest statistically, to get in gem mint condition. You know, PSA has graded over 40,000 examples and only 25 have graded a 10. So you think about cards from the 80s and we joke about the junk wax era and how common cards are. And, you know, 1980s right on that cusp. But gem mint examples are not growing on trees. So we're very happy to get this in. Again, unfortunately, he passed away when he did, but you can see here it's got 72 bids already. It's off to a nice start.
Yeah, and I did a video recently about PSA and pop counts on cards, and Rickey Henderson was brought up, and somebody actually sent me this tweet from PSA that they actually explained why they grade the Rickey Henderson card so tough. And you guys can read through it on the screen, but the main takeaway is behind Rickey is the dugout, and there's a lot of black area back there. Well, basically, PSA said that black area tends to have a lot of condition issues, whether you know, white spots or fish eyes, and it really normally hurts you know, from an 8 or a 9 getting a 10. So that's kind of their pushback on why it gets graded so tough. I thought that was really interesting to share. So
Yeah, that dark surface, you see it on cards like the 57 Bill Russell, other cards that have that black background. But I mean, this card here is immaculate.
let me give you solo on that.
There is just nothing in that black dugout that's going to be viewed as an imperfection.
Wow.
So really nice example.
Okay, let's this is the next one that stood out to me, and like I said, I like to pick out the last card's an exception. I normally like to pick out cards that I think my friends would be interested in, or people that watch my channel would be interested in. And this Satchel Paige is right up my alley. My friend Chris from Missouri's been looking for one in a similar condition. I just want to tell everybody, most people will know, but why it's so special. Because if you look at the screen there, this is from 58-59 Leaf, and the population count is around 250 total graded between PSA and SGC, and it's because it was a short printed card. I actually put the Jackie Robinson, just the PSA graded, underneath there, and it's 1,847. So it shows you how scarce this rookie card is and why it goes for such a premium, even in a grade of a 1.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is a short printed rookie card of Satchel Paige, 10-15% of the population of a Jackie. Tough to find in any condition. This card has some condition flaws going on, but when you compare it to what you see normally, it's actually got decent centering. It's actually got decent registration. Like, it's a very appealing example, and it's downgraded obviously because of the tape and the issues on the back, but tough to find in any grade, and important. 48-49 Leaf is one of the more iconic sets of that era, and Paige is one of the key cards without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on. And now, if you watch my channel, you probably watch Dave Blue Jacket 66 channel. I got his handle right there if you don't. But basically, I reached out to Dave and I said, Dave, you always buy from REA. You always buy from auction houses. I said, can you give me some cards that you think we should watch as collectors, that you think stand out? And the next 4 cards are all cards that Dave called out. So thank you, Dave, for getting back to me. And I will tell you, Brian, Dave is a big fan of REA. He's always telling me how great your customer service is. And he trusts you guys as an auction house. I don't want to speak for him, but I just want to say he's a great ambassador for you guys. I want to say that. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and he's got good taste based on this Joe Jackson right there.
Yeah, Dave owns a Joe Jackson and a Cracker Jack already, but he pointed out the Joe Jackson here. It's at 13.5K right now. The main reason he pointed this out was not just because it's an iconic card, but because the eye appeal. It got the A, and I read through REA. It said because it's evidence of trimming, but this is an iconic card, and this looks beautiful in my opinion. So
yeah, no, it's dynamite. And Cracker Jacks, you talk about iconic sets, you talk about obviously a name that's very closely associated with baseball. Cracker Jack is one of the best sets of the era. Joe Jackson, key to the set. This card, as you can see on your screen, looks like a 7 or an 8 at first blush. I think that if you had covered up the authentic from SGC, a lot of people would have guessed that, maybe it's a 6, maybe it's a 7. To get that eye appeal on a card that, now you see is at $13,500 would cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is a really fascinating opportunity to get in at a level that's just not egregious in the big scheme of things compared to what an 8 would go for. And, I have that with me too. The red is maybe even bolder in person than it is on the screen.
Wow. That does look outstanding.
Really nice card.
And I saw there's a few, you could see some faint stains on the back from the Cracker Jacks, which is awesome.
There's some very faint caramel staining. I've always preferred that on my Cracker Jacks. They gives it character, in my opinion. So
I agree.
Great card.
The next card here, it's a sneaky card here that Dave calls out. It's actually lot 1567. It's the Hank Aaron 1954 Johnson's Cookies. It's the alternative Hank Aaron rookie card, and it's a lot more scarce than the top rookie card, a lot more scarce. So it's a sneaky card for any Hank Aaron fan out there and collector, in my opinion, in Dave's opinion.
Yeah, no, totally right. I mean, you're right on the money with that. This is from 54, still a rookie year, not as plentiful as the tops. And this example here, graded a 3. Again, eye appeal is far superior than you might expect on a VG card. Just got the staining on the back, just cookie residue, similar to the Jackson and caramel staining, but really nice looking card. And you can see 63 bids on it already. And that's, for people that aren't familiar with REA, all of our monthly auctions start at $10. So you can come in and you can take a bid on a Joe Jackson at $10. You can take a bid on a Hank Aaron rookie at $10. The Clemente 3D, somebody got a $20 bid in on that. So you can participate and really feel involved. And then if you decide that you want to go on and try and win something, you don't have to have this huge budget. I think that's a misconception a lot of people have, that you need to have this huge budget to even bid. And it's just not the case.
I like that. Okay. I didn't know about the $10 starting. That's really cool. So the next thing Dave called out, he called out some Connie Mack AllStars from 1951. So Dave really felt, this is an underappreciated set in his opinion. And I'll tell you what, anytime I see one of these cards at a show like the National, they just pop out of the showcases. I agree. I like the little bit of oversized. I like seeing the full body images of these great players. You got a Babe Ruth on the screen right now, or the Babe Ruth over here. Christy Mathewson they have. There's some great great players. I actually didn't put them all on here. I think there's maybe 9 or 10 Connie Mack All-Star cards you guys are selling. Yeah, but I agree with Dave. These are this is a really cool set.
Yeah, and the colors are great. The design is unlike anything else, really. There were 2 sets, the Connie Mack's All-Stars and the Major League All-Stars that Topps put out in 51. Tremendous player selection, images that you don't find, on a lot of other cards, if any. And, hard to argue with Ruth and Gehrig and Wagner and Mathewson. So great cards. Like you said, we have almost a full set in this auction. And, you buy a card at Tris Speaker for $325. It's a good deal.
Yeah, really cool. All right, the last one that Dave highlighted, and it's a great card to highlight, is the N300 Mayo cut plug cap Anson card. It's from 1895. Yeah. So this is for an 1895 card. Talk about great eye appeal, in my opinion, and this is technically a playing days cap Anson card for those out there who, they only collect players with playing days cards. So I'm not a pre-war guy, so I'm not going to pretend to be, but I mean, do you want to add anything to this card, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, the Mayos are such an interesting set. They're really one of the few sets issued during that 1890s decade. Like you said, playing era cards for a lot of these guys. Cap Anson, the key to the set, such a significant player of the 19th century. And this card, the Mayos are often found in very poor condition because of how much dark stock there is on the cards. This one, as you can see, does not have a lot of wear, really graded a 2 solely due to that bottom right corner. So high eye appeal, extremely rare. We have a couple Mayos in this auction. We're breaking up a set in our spring auction. So no shortage of opportunities if you decide you want to go ahead and build this set.
That's awesome. Yeah. Once again, thanks, Dave, for pointing out some cards that he thought people would be interested in. But Brian, that's really it. This was the 30 minutes flew by. I'll tell you that right
now. No shortage of things to talk about. And, I think I encourage people, go to our website, collectrea.com, poke around. You can poke around in the current auction. You can poke around in our archives going back to 2004. You can register to bid. You can get a catalog sent to you for one of our seasonal auctions. I think you'll learn a lot, and you might find something that you're interested in bidding on.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to keep checking out REA. I'll have, not that it's necessary, but I'll have a link to REA's website in the info down below. But thanks again, Brian, for doing this. This was a lot of fun.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thanks, Theo.
All right. Well, thanks to anybody that checked in, watched this. If you like this type of content, obviously give us a thumbs up, put a comment down below. Thanks everybody that watched. I'll see you on the next one.